Hi, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. If you didn't, I encourage you to go back and have a look. But in my previous blog post, I started exploring this notion of leadership skills. What does it take to become a good leader? This is something that has been written about and explored by hundreds before me, but it's still something that comes up the whole time. I get so many questions around it. And in my previous blog post, I explored the notion of followership. And today, I'd like to explore the notion of awareness and how you come across, being aware about how you come across to other people. And in order to explore that, we need a very simple model, a tool. You know, all consultants and coaches and trainers, they love their models. And this model is really simple because it looks like this. But like all good models, it's really powerful. And I think that if you take this into your sort of consideration, if you assimilate this little piece of information that I'm going to share with you today, you are going to be thinking about this little line again and again. So as you can see, there are two positions we can take here. There is above the line and there is below the line. So when you are operating as a person above the line, you are in a state of trust. You are in a very constructive state where you are at ease with whatever is going on around you. On the other hand, if you're operating below the line, you are essentially in a state of threat. Fight, flight, freeze. All of this stuff is going on in you. And you feel uncomfortable around the situation. Those are the basic two stances, but we can go a little bit deeper into that and say that what then happens is that when I'm below the line, everything becomes very much about me because I'm in this threatened position, so I'm worried about me. I'm worried about what's going to happen to my project, my ideas, my position, my income, my standing in the society, and it becomes all about me. On the other hand, if I'm above the line and then in this more expansive mode, then it's suddenly about everything that is not me. It's about the project, it's about all of us, it's how we develop this, how we move forward, etc., etc. When I'm below the line, I am basically in a reactive mood, knee-jerk move. I just react to stuff and I probably don't even think too much about it. I just have these reactive responses to what people are sending my way. When I'm above the line, I'm much more responsive. I think about stuff. I weigh my words a little bit more carefully. I try and see things from other people's perspective, and I try and accommodate them if I possibly can. So we could summarize that and say, when I'm below the line, I'm essentially just defending my fragile little ego. It's all it's about. My little ego is being threatened and I'm in a defensive position. And when I'm above the line, it's not about my ego, it's about the outcomes that we could achieve together. How do we get to results? How do we actually solve some of these problems? So, again, and we can feel this quite clearly whether we're above or below the line. When we're above the line, we are learning and we're growing and we're thriving, and sometimes we also have this sense of flow. Things are going easily. On the other hand, when we're below the line, it's a struggle, it's a fight, it's a battle, and very often it's all about us feeling that we need to be right. They need to understand my point of view. I want it my way. I want to be in control of this. I want it to go the way I've planned it to go the whole way. So in a first instance, the problem is not so much to be below the line. That's the second problem. The first problem is not realizing that we are below the line. Because if I'm operating below the line without actually realizing that that's what's going on, then I'm, well, to put it very bluntly, I'm a danger to myself and my surroundings, aren't I? It's not a constructive place to be. And it does very little for my relationships. We'll get back to that in future building relationships with other people when you're below the line becomes relatively toxic. So the first step in all of this is this notion of self-awareness. Am I able to detect if I'm above the line or below the line? Do I have a way of feeling in my body certain reactions? Maybe I get hot under the collar, or maybe my pulse goes up and my blood pressure starts moving, or whatever it is, or I feel myself retracting and getting tense. Or what are the signs that are telling me that I'm operating below the line? And do I have the honesty within myself? Am I able to tell myself the truth about what's going on? So I need to be able to step back from a situation and ask myself, what's going on just now? Where am I actually? I heard myself say that in quite a harsh tone. So what's going on? Am I above the line or am I below the line? And if I'm below the line, do I have the brutal honesty to tell myself what's going on? So what's this about? I'm actually feeling a little bit of fear here. I'm a little bit scared that this is going to be a threat to my job or my position. Or this is just me reacting and I'm not thinking things properly through. But I need to be able to make that discernment. And the second step then is this very clear understanding with myself that being above or below the line is largely a choice that I make. Certain things can happen that will provoke me to slip below the line, but then it's up to me to realize that that's what's happening and then push myself out of that, or lift myself out of that and come back to where I need to be. Being below the line is not something that is imposed on you by other people. You're not a victim that has been pushed below the line. And if you are, you need to get out of it. You need to pull yourself out by the boots, you remember? So I can choose to make this shift. I can choose to make a shift between being closed and moving to open. I can move between being defensive to being curious. I can choose to stop being so reactive and become much more responsive. Essentially, I can choose to stop the drama and start creating valuable solutions around me. I can stop wanting to be right and instead saying to myself, I want to learn. Essentially, I can stop defending this fragile ego and start engaging with my surroundings from a position of trust. It's a choice. It's a choice that I have. But I can't choose if I'm not aware of what's happening. If I don't notice, if I'm just in zombie mode, if I'm on autopilot, I'm rushing through my day in my doing mode, fixing things on my checklist, reacting to everything around me, there's not much awareness, is there? That's a catastrophe. It's really a catastrophe. So we're going to be exploring this a little bit further in some future blog posts that I'm going to put. What does it take to cultivate some more awareness? How do I become more aware of what's going on? And how do I make these shifts? What actually goes on below the line? Because I've given you a few hints, but to be honest, it's quite a swamp there. I mean, drama triangles, all sorts of nonsense going on there. And we need to be able to identify these things and flag them with ourselves, and this is what's going on. This is the game I'm playing with myself just now. And then we need to start thinking about other situations where we actually push our colleagues into a state of being below the line. And what does that do to them? What actually happens if most of us during the day are all operating below the line? What kind of a company culture do you think that creates? Oh, you can't imagine that. Oh, yes, you can. Because a lot of us have experienced that from one time or another in organizations. And it's not much fun. It's toxic. It's really toxic. So before we explore all of this in future blog posts, do me a favor. Start noticing where you are. Are you above the line or are you below the line? Just stop a couple of times every day and ask yourself that question. And a final thought that I'd like to leave you with. What do you think the impact is on your surroundings when you are below the line? What does it do to other people? What's it do to your colleagues? What's it do to the people that report to you? What's it do to your family, your kids? It has a huge impact on other people when we operate from below the line. And it's generally just toxic. I look forward to exploring this fascinating subject with you some more in future blog posts. I'll see you then. Bye bye for now.